What's up, guys? So I'm trying to make like a kind of an overview video of the Integra rebuild slash project. I don't really know what I want to call it yet. I don't really know what that is. It's bothering me though. Long story short, I found this car. It popped up on Marketplace. As many of you know, Marketplace is the new Craigslist, basically. Back in the day, man, Craigslist was where we got all the parts from. And I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. I started building Hondas when I was really, well, I want to say when I was pretty young, 16, 17 years old. I was building Del Sols, Civic hatchbacks, B series, everything and anything that had to do with Hondas and Acuras, and that was like a huge part of my life and a huge part of pretty much everybody that I grew up with life. I lived in a neighborhood where there was a lot of imports. It was a pretty Asian dominated neighborhood, for the most part, sort of on the south side of where I lived and grew up. Um, so with that being said, like pretty much everybody I was around like built Hondas, and it was just something I grew up doing and something I grew up really loving. And I saw this Integra pop up. It's a 1995, all original, stock motor, aside from an intake, stock exhaust, everything. So I've been wanting to do something like this for quite some time, and I just really wasn't in a place to do it. I really didn't have a place to like keep one or have one, or I move around a lot and things like that. But long story short, I saw it pop up, and I knew it needed some work, obviously, from the pictures. The lady that was there, so it was at a tow yard, or a repossession uh, tow yard, and she kind of gave me the story and the rundown of it. Basically, for them having it just sitting there, it was almost like 6 years. And even before that, it had been sitting in a driveway. The guy, I guess, bought a car. They couldn't get him funded, but he had already taken the newer car, and this car was supposed to be the trade-in. So they went and picked it up and kept it. And then the dealership basically said, like, we're not going to be able to do anything with this. It doesn't run. It's just sitting there. So they called this wrecker yard that had it, that I got it from, like several years ago, and told them to say, hey, come get it, get it out of our car lot. We don't need it. So they went and picked it up. So essentially, they got it for free. They just had to, tow it. So, it's a pretty crazy story, like how some of these cars like come to fruition, and that's how it was. And when I saw it, and when I talked to the lady, and when I got there, um, I kind of told her my background. Like I said, hey, like I'm not here to mess around with any of your other cars. If I buy it, can I work on it here until I get it running? Because I knew, just doing a few things to it, I knew pretty much like 90% of chance that I was going to be able to get it to run, with just some basic stuff. So the lady was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think it's going to run. It hasn't ran since we've had it. It didn't run before that. So I said, all right, look, like, let me do some stuff to it and see if I can get it running. I do want to buy it, but I just want to check out some things on it just to make sure, because I knew right away if I was gonna have to like pull out the motor and do all kinds of stuff. Like, not that I can't do that and rebuild it, all that stuff. It's just something I didn't really want to do. obviously, aside from having the space from it. So luckily she was like, yeah, that's fine, do what you got to do. So I put a jumper pack on it. Some lights came on, I put the key in, and it started to kind of like beep beep, like real drug out sounding, beeps, when you have the key in the ignition, stuff like that. So I was like, oh well, all right, that's a start. And then looking in the car had an alarm on it, but obviously the key fob was dead, so I couldn't do anything with that. And then it has a radio and a bunch of wires in there and all kinds of stuff, and immediately, like, when you see that kind of stuff, you're just like, oh man, like, hopefully they didn't like mess something up as far as like wiring wise, or mess with something that shouldn't be messed with. So with the jumper pack on it, it didn't start. With the jumper pack, it killed the jumper pack, by me just like clicking things on and off, just seeing what works and what doesn't. So I got underneath there, turned the wheels, turned the crank pulley. The crank pulley turned just fine, so I knew the motor was not locked up or anything like that. So she had a guy come over with some jumper cables and a truck, put the jumper cables on it, let it sit for a while, and then I tried it again, and a lot more stuff started coming to life. All the dash lights worked, all the beeping went to how it's supposed to sound. So the thing started coming alive, and I was like, all right, like, this is a lot better sign. I still tried to like start it, and it still did nothing. So I was kind of like, well, maybe the alarm being dead, key fob being dead, if I can't unlock it. I was thinking maybe I had like an immobilizer on it or something, so that just was what was going through my head, because back when I was building these, I mean, we had all kinds of like safety cards, I never know. So eventually we let it set a little bit longer, let it charge up a little bit more, which I didn't even know the battery was charging it, if not, because it was so old. But I tried it again, and it started to crank, and I was like, hey, all right, like, this is a good sign. And it's like like barely, like lights are kind of dimming, like things are kind of like clicking, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm like, this is a lot better sign. And we let it set again, tried it again, and it started turning over a lot faster. And I was like, all right, well, that's a good sign. And I kept putting my ear back here, because the fuel pump is right underneath the bottom seat, and I couldn't hear a fuel pump like clicking on or priming up or anything like that. So lo and behold, actually, two things I changed. One thing I changed, and one thing I found out. Over on the passenger side seat, stuffed beside the door panel and the seat, there was a new OEM Honda main relay. Why that was over there in a package, like, I don't know. But I mean, I know from rebuilding them from years ago, even when I was building them, 20 years ago, when they were not new but newer, the main relays went out then, so I was like, well, screw it, if this is new, I'm just going to put it on just to see if it works. So I unplugged the main relay down there, plugged it into the new one, stuffed it in the little crack down there. I pulled up the back seat over here. The guy had a tester to see if there was even any power going to the fuel pump, and we tested it when I turned on the key, and it was sending power to the pump. So I was like, well, my pump's probably just toast, it's been sitting here for so long, it's probably just dead, or it might have been dead before, who knows. So either way, that guy like started just beating on the hat of the fuel hat, and we just started beating it, and I started clicking it back and forth when we had it plugged in, and lo and behold, the lady outside was like, hey, there's fuel squirting out of the fuel filter up here. And I had cracked there's two nuts. There's a nut that holds down the fuel pressure line, and then there's a nut on top to relieve pressure. So I had opened that top nut to relieve any pressure that was in there that was built up from the air and stuff like that. So the fuel started squirting out of that after we got the pump to turn on, and I was like, well, that's a really good sign. So, you know, I'm like, this is probably gonna start running now. So I closed that up, kept priming it up. I primed it up about 6 or 7 more times, and I literally hit the key. It cranked like 4 times, and then boom, started up like it had never not ran in a week, you know, and sounded perfect aside from like the belt squeaking and the power steering pump and all that crap, you know, going on. But that was to be expected, you know. But the engine itself was like butter, like just perfect, not even misfiring, like nothing. And all of it was all original. It still has the original spark plug wires that came on the car back in the day, which is awesome for me because I'm going to keep them on there. Like, I'm not even going to change them. They don't need to be changed. You know, I got some new plugs. I haven't put the plugs in it yet. I'm going to run this gas out, run this fuel pump until it probably craps out here pretty soon, because I'm guessing it's probably full of junk in there now after it being sitting for so long. So I'm just going to run this tank out. Things that needed changed: it had a broken door handle, so I have a video on replacing that, and then like putting the key lock back in the new handle and all the electronics. And the hood didn't close. The hood latch itself was just like completely rusted and just seized shut. I tried to get it to work. I sprayed a bunch of like PB Blaster and WD-40 on it, and I broke loose the secondary latch, but the hood latch itself was just toast. Like, there was just no way. So with that being said, it did need new tires, so I took the wheels off and took the wheels to Discount Tire, got some new tires put on it, and sorry, keep yawning. I put the wheels back on, but when I got back to the wrecker yard, I had noticed that the upper control arm bushings that I didn't notice before when I was working on it were just like completely gone. Like, the rubber in all of the bushings in the upper control arms were just disintegrated, and I didn't notice that until I was putting the wheels back on. And you know, could you drive it like that? Yeah, for a little while. It's metal on metal, and there's obviously, like, when you stop it clunks, and when you turn, you know. So with that being that way, and with the hood not latching all the way down, just the secondary latch working, I didn't have to drive very far, but it was far enough to where I was like, probably not a good idea. Back when I was 19 or 20, would I have drove it? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I would have drove it. You know, but so just little stuff like that. I've made a ton of like little short videos going over some of the details, like how I put the bumper back on the fenders and just all kinds of stuff. Basically everything I'm doing right now is just kind of like in anticipation of knowing that at some point I'm gonna have to take it all apart again. One, because I'm gonna just clean the ever-loving piss out of it. Two, there's still some things that don't work on the car. Whether they worked before, I don't know. So the windows and the door locks do not work at all. The windows don't roll down. They don't even click or budge or anything, and that's not like something that I haven't experienced before with Civics and Integras. Civic SIs, the 99 2000s, and these DCs, they do have problems like that every once in a while. I don't remember what I did last times that this happened. I know the doors are getting power because the mirrors work, so I can turn the mirrors, but nothing else works. The lock switches don't work, and the up and down window don't work on either side. So I'm thinking that it's probably a ground, or it has to do with something when they replaced the speakers, because it has aftermarket speakers in the front, and they wired them in, and the wires weren't connected, and I don't know what the hell was going on there. So um, I that's still something I have to figure out. And I just need to clean the car really good too. I don't like dirty stuff. Like, I hate dirty stuff. So getting this to the point where I can like get everything out of it that I need out, like all the wires for the system that's in the back, and like all that crap, like all that stuff is coming out. Like, I don't want any of that stuff in this car. I want everything back to the original condition. The only thing I might change, like interior wise, I don't know, maybe some Recaro seats, or maybe some Type R seats that are suede, or I don't know. The driver's seat is busted. It's ripped on the lower cushion. Other than that, all the other seats are good. All original leather. All the interior pieces are there. The door panel has a little like crack on the armrest, which is fine for now. The car was painted. I'm like super colorblind, and I can't even really tell what even kind of color it is. It's like a brownish green color. I don't know, but the door jamb says that the car was black, and with the jams and everything being black, I'm sure that's the case. But it's kind of weird because the title of the car actually says blue. How I don't know how that happens. And sometimes that happens because somebody will get a title, and when they go to sell it, they'll write down things on it as far as like anything that's changed, or like a color when they send it to the DMV when they buy it, and they could have wrote blue on there. And it's not the first time that's happened to me. I've seen that happen quite a few times on some of my old cars, but it's just weird it says blue. So I don't know. But anyways, so I just kind of wanted to make this video to kind of introduce the car. I do have a lot of plans for it, as far as like what I want to do with it, how I want it to look, how I want it to keep it stock, the type of like videos I want to make, as far as like being able to help people kind of rebuild some of these cars, because I know a lot of my friends, I'm messing with the vent over here, a lot of my friends that have seen my Facebook that I got this, it's funny because a lot of them have reached out, and a lot of them are like, dude, I've been looking for another Integra, I've been looking for a Civic Si, I've been hey, I bought this. Like my buddy John Nichols, like I don't know if he'll see this, but I grew up with him in Wichita, and he was really big into Civics as well. Honda's had a 4-door EG sedan with a B series in it that him and his dad swapped in, and they painted it like super bright, like Type R canary yellow. Like, just I had so many friends over the years that all came from cars. And it's funny now that like I got this car, and I kind of posted about it a little bit of like some things, and so many people have reached back out to me that are just like, dude, like that's so awesome you found one, like, oh, I've been looking for something to do, like I've been looking for another car. And it's funny because we're like all in our 30s now, or even older, some of them, and we're still like, I love Hondas, like I love imports, I love working on them. And so that's just kind of my story, kind of like where the car is. I'm hoping to be able to kind of build a brand out of this. I want to make something about like bringing B series back, you know, bringing these cars back from the dead. Like I've really had the ambition to do one of these builds for a really long time now, so I'm really looking forward to being able to do something with these. So, you know, all in all, that's a little introduction about the car. Like, I want to make a lot more videos and hopefully some helpful tips and tricks to help kids or anybody that's like rebuilding these, that might help them along the way, because there isn't a lot to these cars, but there is little tips and tricks that I learned, you know, from working on them for 10 to 15 plus years. So and also, like, if anybody is building one, like, dude, like, reach out, like, post it in the comments below, like, post it in the, you know, whatever, you know, let's link up, because like I said, I do want to kind of build a brand out of this. I kind of want to like make some shirts, like some VTech shirts, and, you know, bring B series back. I'll probably build like a little like website, a little Shopify store. With that being said, I will be putting some older like parts on it that like we used to put on, like Apex exhaust and like all that sort of stuff that I like the way it sounds. I am a wholesaler for Vivid Racing, so anything that's on Vivid Racing, if you're looking at parts for these, whether it be like ACT clutch, Apex, Tanabe, Rhoda, like anything that they sell for these, whether it be a EK, EG, DC2, Type R, any of that stuff, if you guys are looking for those parts, definitely hit me up and let me know, because I can get you a good deal. I can get you a discount on them, and probably like free shipping and stuff like that, which I know that those parts aren't really that much more expensive than what they used to be. But the parts I want to be able to supply, like the interior parts and stuff like that, like, dude, it's crazy how expensive that stuff is. We used to just give this stuff away. Like, I just had just tons of junk in my garage that would be worth like thousands of dollars now, which is just crazy. So, you know, whatever. But I'm gonna post up some stuff like I have for sale, things like that. So reach out if you have any questions or comments, or if you're building one, and you know, let's link up and do this, you know, let's have a good time. So we'll check you guys later, and you know, I appreciate you watching this video. Drop a comment below if you liked it, and like and subscribe for more, man. We'll appreciate it. See ya.